You send him 41,000 emails, 350 voice messages, 744 tweets, 48 Facebook messages, and 100...
whilst physically restricting my sex prowess or sex power. Either way, I'm going to conclude, because I've made this video countless times, I've not been in permanent employment now for 6 years, since 2019. I've not concluded sexual intercourse since 2018, 7 years ago. It's been partial intercourse or interrupted intercourse or interrupted penetration. It means I've not concluded sexual intercourse in 7 years because of internal breaking sessions stripping out the power of my own life. For that reason, it's cost me a long time of employment and a vast array of sexual relations because of internal breaking sessions. I've still got no relevant level of education, none. No GCSEs, no A-levels, no university level of education, nothing. And I'm obviously been homeless now for nearly 2 years. It's close to 2 years since I've been homeless, and I'm still in a critical condition, subject to internal breaking sessions up to 3,000 times a day, causing catastrophic humiliation and degrading internally. So I'm going to summarise it. They've stripped out all my power in society to internalise it, to commit crime against me internally, costing me every day of my life. I've lost more life or quality of life than what these officers' jobs are, and I've not given them the power to do it. They're doing what they want. They're doing what they want internally, committing crime against me, and I'm in a critical condition. It's been every single day now for 9 years. It's costing me the best. It's cost me the best years of my life. I've lost the best years. Look, life is the best gift of all. It's the most beautiful gift of all, and I've just lost every day of it over 9 years in a critical condition because officers are committing crime against my power. They've cost me frequent sexual relations, they've forced me into indecent sex acts, they've forced me into high-risk sexual humiliation, sexual degrading, they've controlled me into frequent assaults where I'm having my power jeopardised or scrutinised, where I'm being physically assaulted. I've been controlled into about 50 assaults where I've been physically assaulted in a controlled state to humiliate me. So they've got possession of me in a controlled state, and I'm getting physically assaulted over 50 times in a controlled state. So they're committing crime against me in a controlled state where I'm getting physically assaulted by their colleagues' cases. The officers have internalised my power to keep me in a controlled state, and whilst in a controlled state, I'm randomly bumping into their colleagues' criminal cases that are physically assaulting me. So they're using people in a controlled state to commit crime against them and humiliate them whilst in a controlled state. I've been assaulted over 50 times and they're not stopping doing it. I've lost out on sexual relations countless times because they've killed my sex prowess, stopping me from having sex with women. I've not concluded sexual intercourse in 7 years throughout my 20s, best years of my life. I've still got no education and they're still using it to commit crime against me, internalising my life. I've been in a critical condition now every day for 9 years, and they've been using me as a punch bag internally to commit crime against me, costing me every day of my life, and they're not addressing it. They're not wanting to account for it. When I turn up in a police station or probation office wanting to know what's going on whilst I'm in a controlled state, they're not accounting for it, they're not acknowledging it. They're not wanting to account for the fact that I've lost out on sexual relations with women. They're not wanting to account for the fact that I've been physically assaulted in a controlled state 50 times. It's got nothing to do with my life. They're not wanting to account for the fact they've controlled me into high-risk sexual humiliation and degrading. This is my point. The police arrested me last February for improper use of communications. So they said there's excessive complaints and it's not leading to an investigation, so we feel as though you've committed a crime. Right, that's fine. But by their rule, they're not wanting to account for the fact that they've internalised all my sex power and cost me sexual relations with countless women. They're not wanting to account for the fact that whilst in a controlled state, they've controlled me into high-risk sexual humiliation that I've not consented to. I mean, some of the most sadistic, they forced me in some of the most sadistic sex acts you could ever imagine in a controlled state to humiliate me. They forced me into homosexual role plays in a controlled state with my ability to think internalised. They forced me into sexual degrading and humiliation, worse than any torture that will get them life orders, whole life orders crime. It gets people whole life orders that these officers are doing to me in a controlled state with my ability to think internalised. So they've internalised my ability to think to stop me committing crime, And whilst doing that, they forced me into sexual degrading, homosexual role plays and 50 assaults. Not only that, they've internalised my sex drives and cost me every single day of my 20s without having sex. They've cost me every single day that I had the chance to get an education. And they've also cost me every single day of my life to get an holiday, to get employed. I've not been employed in years. They've cost me every day of my life to commit crime against me in a critical condition. It's cost me the best years of my life for officers to create an internal punch bag to cause catastrophic, and I mean serious, high-risk humiliation. But then they've got the audacity of locking me up for improper use of communications when they're committing crimes against me in a controlled state that's worth an whole life order. This is why it's bad.